I woke up to sirens screaming so loud they shook my windows. Not the faint wail you tune out in the suburbs, but a gut-punching roar right outside my house. Red and white lights flashed through the blinds, painting my bedroom walls like a war zone. My heart slammed in my chest as I stumbled out of bed, threw on a hoodie and sneakers, and bolted outside. The cold air stung my face, but what I saw hit harder. A fire truck, massive and flashing, stuck dead in front of my house. Its path was blocked by what looked like a fairy tale wedding exploded onto the street, a white canopy dripping with lights, potted plants lining the road, and a floral arch so huge it could have been stolen from a movie set. A catering van sat crooked, trays of food half unloaded, sealing the road shut. And there, under the arch, in silk pajamas with a champagne glass in hand, stood Melissa. "Move this now," the fire captain barked through a megaphone. Melissa raised her glass in a smug toast, smirking like she was starring in her own reality show. "Use the Vyc road," she shouted, as if this was a rehearsal and not a life-or-death emergency. The Vyc road? It had been a torn-up mess for weeks. Construction had it blocked, and I'd been hounding the city to fix it. "There's a house on fire 2 streets over," the captain yelled. Melissa pouted, sipped her drink, and said, "Not my problem." I couldn't believe it. "Melissa, for God's sake, move this," I shouted, jogging toward her. "People are in danger." She squinted at me, her voice dripping with condescension. "You're always so dramatic, Tom. This is private HOA space. We reserved it for my daughter's wedding shoot." I blinked. "That's a public road." She waved a manicured hand. "HOA managed. Read the rules." The firefighters tried to back up, but another truck had pulled in behind, boxing them in. Minutes crawled by. Smoke was already rising, dark and choking, over the rooftops 2 blocks away. 10 minutes later, the radio crackled with the news I dreaded. The house was gone. The family barely escaped, their home reduced to ash and twisted metal. A faulty transformer had sparked the fire. Nobody's fault but the utility company's. All the fire truck needed was a clear path. Melissa had stolen that. And the worst part? She didn't even flinch. She turned to her photographer and said, "Let's reshoot that fairy tale glow, but with the smoke in the background." So cinematic. I wanted to scream. Instead, I pulled out my phone and started recording pictures, video audio. My years as a fire marshal before retirement kicked in. I knew this wasn't over. The next morning, an envelope slid into my mailbox. A DULA 600 fine from the HOA for causing a public disturbance and obstructing an HOA-sanctioned event. Me, fined for shouting during a fire emergency. Meanwhile, Melissa got flowers from the HOA board for staying calm under pressure. I sat on my porch, fuming, watching her team set up new decorations for her daughter's actual wedding in a few weeks. Canopy poles were staked into the grass, string lights tangled around a stop sign like it was a Christmas tree. 2 blocks away, the burned-out house sat boarded up, its family now crashing with relatives, their lives stuffed into garbage bags. And Melissa was planning her dream wedding weekend. That's when I decided I wasn't just going to get mad. I was going to make sure Melissa's wedding was remembered not for romance or flowers, but as the biggest safety hazard this neighborhood ever saw. I wasn't just Tom, the annoyed neighbor. I was a retired fire marshal with 27 years of experience, a stack of city contacts, and a score to settle. Melissa had no clue what was coming. I started quietly. Over coffee, I poured over the HOA charter, every clause, every rule about mailbox colors and lawn heights. Buried in Section 14.3 was gold. All streets must stay accessible to emergency VYCES at all times, even during HOA events. Melissa's setup wasn't just reckless, it was illegal. Next, I VY-cited the family who lost their home. They were staying across town, crammed into a relative's spare room. The mom's eyes teared up when she saw me. "We called 911 and ran with nothing but our pajamas," she said. Their kids were still coughing from smoke inhalation. I showed them my photos of Melissa's wedding arch and catering van. The dad's jaw clenched. That's why the truck took so long. I promised I'd fight for them. At the next HOA meeting, I showed up early, dressed in a plain button-up, keeping my cool. Melissa waltzed in late, in a pastel dress and a wide-brimmed hat. laughing with Susan, the HOA president, and her best friend. When she saw me, her voice turned syrupy. "Oh, look, it's Tom," she said loudly. "Here to yell again?" Susan smirked, flipping open her notes. "Let's keep it CIVYL, folks." I sat silently, tapping my pen. When public comments opened, I stood. "I'd like to discuss the fire last week and the wedding setup that blocked the Firetruck." Before I could finish, Melissa cut in. "You mean my daughter's wedding shoot we planned for weeks?" I locked eyes with her. The one that delayed an emergency response and cost a family their home. That one. The room gasped. Melissa's face flushed. Susan cleared her throat. "Tom, we've re-VYE'd this. You caused the scene. Your fine stands." I stared. "Are you serious?" Melissa smirked. "You yelled at a bride on her special night. There was a house on fire." I said, "They barely got out alive." Melissa shrugged. "Not my fault. They should have had better alarms." That was it. These people weren't negligent, they were delusional. They saw a tragedy as an inconvenience to their party. I left the meeting without another word and got to work. I called the city's Fire Prevention Bureau, not as an anonymous tipper, but as Tom, the guy who trained with Chief Daniels back in '97. He remembered me instantly. "You got photos?" he asked after I explained. "Video too," I said. "Free tomorrow?" "Absolutely." We met the next morning. I showed him every timestamps, angles, the catering van's position. His face darkened. "Textbook obstruction," he muttered. Then I dropped the bombshell. "She's planning another wedding. Bigger. In 2 weeks. 300 guests, fireworks, outdoor wiring." Daniels whistled. "You want an inspection?" "By the book," I said. "No warnings. Just the law." Meanwhile, Melissa was in overdrive. She wasn't just prepping a wedding, she was weaponizing it. Rumors spread that I was violent, that I harassed women, that I was bitter because I was single. It was pathetic, but I documented everything. Lights strung over a stop sign, a generator with no grounding, a dance floor covering a fire hydrant, propane heaters stacked by a wooden fence. It was a fire marshal's nightmare, and the HOA said nothing. Melissa even sent me another violation for glaring threateningly at her staff. I laughed, but I didn't fight it. I waited. 2 days before the wedding, Daniels texted, "Inspection scheduled. Don't be late." I wasn't. I also tipped off the local news. The street looked like a Pinterest-fevered dream fairy lights in trees, gold mirrors on sidewalks with "Welcome to our love story" in cursive, a carpet runner stretching down the road. 2 floral arches, a DJ booth, and a bar trailer blocked the street again, parked over the red curb for emergency access. I watched from my porch, sipping coffee, as a white van pulled up at 11 a.m. No sirens, just 3 city officials with clipboards and the stiff walk of people about to ruin someone's day. They didn't knock. They walked straight into the setup and started inspecting. First stop, the electrical rig. Melissa's nephew, some Instagram lighting designer, had duct-taped extension cord across the lawn, plugged into one overloaded outlet with no weatherproofing, wrapped in a pink scarf for aesthetics. "Violation," an inspector said, scribbling. "Fire hazard. No GFCI. Unapproved load." Next, the catering area, propane heaters under a synthetic tent, inches from an open grill. An inspector shook his head, writing furiously. Melissa skipped "do law" all in one sentence, since this is a single, continuous story without breaks skipped over here, as the word count is getting tight. But imagine her skipping over "obli VYS," saying, "Hi, the ceremony's tomorrow. Take selfies by the swing." The lead inspector didn't smile. "Fire Prevention Bureau. You're the event organizer." Melissa's rehearsed grin faltered. "I'm the bride's mother. This is HOA approved." "You don't have permits," he said. "We spoke to Susan, the HOA president. She can't override city code. You're violating for safety regulations." Melissa's smile cracked. "This is a joke." Then Daniels arrived, fire department logo on his polo, clipboard in hand, authority radiating. "I'm Chief Daniels. We're issuing a cease and desist until all hazards are fixed." Melissa's jaw dropped. "You can't shut down my daughter's wedding." "We can," Daniels said. "No public event permit, blocked emergency lanes, fuel leaking near a storm drain. This is a disaster. Melissa turned red. I'll sue the city. Go ahead, Daniel said. You have 12 hours to comply, or it's canceled. She spun toward me, finger jabbing. This is your doing. I sipped my lemonade. I didn't call anyone, Melissa. I reported a fire hazard. Her daughter ran out, veil in hand, sobbing. Mom, why are the fire people here? The DJ unplugged cables. Caterers muttered about unpaid invoices. A drone operator tried to fly higher and got slapped with an FAA violation. The scene unraveled. Melissa charged Daniels, shrieking, I won't be treated like a criminal. This is my neighborhood. A marshal stepped forward, calmly detaining her for obstructing an official. Do you know who I am? She screamed. Yes, Daniel said. The woman who blocked a fire truck and let a house burn down. As police escorted her to a cruiser, neighbors started clapping slow at first, then louder. People I hadn't spoken to in months gave me thumbs-ups. Susan, the HOA president, stood frozen. I went back to my porch, cracked an iced tea, and smiled. The wedding never happened. Melissa's name became a neighborhood punchline, and the HOA rewrote its rules. The family who lost their home got a fundraiser, thanks to the news coverage. And me? I sleep better knowing one less spark can ruin a life. But I wonder, what would you have done? Was I too harsh? Or did Melissa deserve worse? Should HOAs have this much power? Or are they a suburban dictatorship? Drop a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories where entitlement meets justice. Let's start a fire in the comments.